right, JD, Joe Delera, I'm coming right back to you. Talk to me about the Knicks. Will start there in Phoenix, catching 5.5.
Dude, like you and I both like I love my Knicks, and I try to not be biased here, but the 5.5 seems too much. Like I texted you before we recorded, I was like, this line's a lot for me right now. Look, obviously the Knicks, they miss Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is instrumental to this team's success in terms of their offense, their defense, with the offensive rebounds, what he can do on the glass. But I think that in this particular matchup, I'm not as worried about Mitch, just because I don't think that Nurk is the type of center that can really take full advantage of the fact that Mitchell Robinson might not be there. We've got Jericho Sims in the starting lineup, as looks like the way Tibbs wants to go, and we continue to bring Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench, which I like. I like that he's kind of continued to excel in that role. I like keeping him there. But when I look at this for the full season, obviously there's no Mitch, so this number is a little bit impacted. But in terms of adjusted net rating, Knicks are plus 2.2. The Suns are plus 1.4. Phoenix has had a variety of guys in and out, in and out, in and out. But I think that speaks to the continuity of this team. And Phoenix, they really have not had a ton of minutes together. And they looked pretty good, but they also still got pushed like right to the brink, and they pushed on the opener against the Warriors on that meaningless bucket at the end. But look, I don't think the Warriors are that good. So like, even though the lineup of their big three, like the minutes that Beal, Booker, and Durant shared on the floor, they were plus 30 in terms of their like 100-point like net rating type of deal. I'm skeptical, because I don't think that the Warriors are that good. And Draymond Green got ejected in that game, so there's a lot going on there, right? But I think that for the Knicks, part of why I like this matchup is they can just, I think, really like eviscerate what the Suns do defensively here. Phoenix is not necessarily a great defensive team over the course of the season. Bradley Beal's not making that any better. So I think the Knicks are going to be able to take advantage of that. You have Brunson, who can slice and dice this defense up, and Julius Randle has looked great. And it kind of goes into the one prop play that I've got of Randle over 8.5 boards. He's hit this in 75% of games without Mitchell Robinson over the last 2 seasons, averaging 10.1 rebounds per game. You can get a double-double at plus money here too. I really like this spot for him. In part because he's been attacking the rack, and like he's really been driving to the cup a lot more lately, and I think that gives him an opportunity to get a couple more of those like offensive boards, or like some little cheap ones too. So I do really like that. And Phoenix takes so many mid-range shots, that rebound is going to bounce right in his wheelhouse, like if he's chilling out in the paint. So I like Randle over 8.5 boards, and I like the Knicks to keep it close at the plus 5.5.
Yeah, I like it. The Knicks are coming off 3 of 4 losses. They're coming off a bad loss versus Utah. The Beal, Booker, KD triple threat finally showed up, but Beal is still working his way in. He was a minus 11 in that game versus the Nets. So this is a good spot for the Knicks to compete and at least keep it close. I would look at the first half before the full game here, but I do think it's going to be a tight game. I do want to talk about Julius Randle and what he's been doing, because Delera, you hit it on the head. Forget about all that hanging out on the perimeter, getting jump shots up. Julius Randle has been absolutely attacking the rim and having tons of success. Listen to some of these attempts and numbers for Julius Randle versus Utah the other night in a L, but he's 14 of 23, 61% from the floor. In the W versus the Raptors, 14 of 21. And these are all with minimal three-point shots attempted. In 4 of his last 5, he's taken 4 or less threes. If you go back to Milwaukee on Tuesday, 14 of 19, 74% from the 3, and he got to the line 12 times. That's when you start seeing these inflated offensive numbers at 41 points. So if you go back to November, Julius Randle was taking 6 threes a game, and up now in December, he's taken 3.8. So he's been attacking the rim and getting to the basket and doing what Julius Randle does and just imposing his will. And it's been working out really well for Julius. Now, they just got to get rolling on the road. The Knicks have been having a bit of a hard time away from Madison Square Garden, but also they've been playing one of the toughest schedules in the NBA and have one of the toughest remaining schedules in the NBA. it's not going to get any easier for the Knicks here. So they got to buckle down and figure out how they're going to beat some of the best teams in the NBA. 5.5 coming off a loss. Brunson had a bad game, probably one of his worst games for the Knicks against the Utah Jazz. I expect him to bounce back. 5.5 is hefty for a team that's trying to still get things rolling. But Booker and Durant have been playing extremely lights out. But we'll see where it goes. Also, before I close out and talk about Randall, it's just overall a really good matchup against the Phoenix Suns. They're towards the bottom of the league in opponent offensive rebounds. That's where Julius Randle is going to do a lot of work on putbacks. They give up 26 points per game to the power forward position. That's 25th in the NBA, behind Dallas and Atlanta, some other teams that are soft inside. The Pacers, of course, are number one at almost 29 points allowed to the bigs down there. And then when we talk about opponent points per game in the paint, the Phoenix Suns are down there at 22nd at 53 points allowed per game. So this is a spot where Julius Randle can definitely get busy, Joe.
Yeah, no, I love it. And like those numbers are staggering for Phoenix when you really think about it too, considering they play at a really slow pace. The Knicks do as well, but like they're giving up numbers to that position and they're still playing slow. Like when you hear the Pacers play at a blitz. They play so fast and like Phoenix is right there with them. So it's a great matchup for Randall.